Welcome back, saucers.
Welcome back to the show.
I like that.
Thanks, yeah.
We have a groovy, if you can't already know, we have a groovy episode planned for you. If you guys are like fans of TV, chances are, which everyone is, chances are you've seen this guy in like virtually everything you love. How I Met Your Mother, The Dropout, that's on Hulu right now. Joe Nieves, a very talented actor who I had the privilege of working with at a restaurant that we're name dropping a lot.
Who cares?
Who cares? And then Molly ended up working after he had left. But it's so good. This conversation's amazing. We go through his journey from moving from New York to out here and all of the fun gigs that he's booked and all of the journey. And
he's got a beautiful story. Yeah.
So you won't want to miss it. So without further ado, Joe. Yay. Thank you so much, Joe, for being here. We are so lucky to have you on. I feel like we have like a celebrity.
I know.
Like Carl from How I Met Your Mother and Father. That's so dope. I remember like meeting you at Bottega and being like, that's it. Yes, it's fucking him. Like, that's so cool. Maybe cut that out. We shouldn't say that where we worked, but that's fine. Oh my God. So first and foremost, we want to ask you what your SOS moment is, and then we'll get into everything else.
So we all have probably a few, right? But
many.
The one that is the most influential, the one that has had the most impact on me was my mom passed away when I was 17. She had breast cancer, suffered for about 3 or 4 years.
Oh wow.
Even with that, they had made a choice, right or wrong. My parents had made a choice to try and shield my brother and I from it. I have an older brother, 2 years.
Oh.
So it was like this weird, like she's just not feeling good, and it was pretty constant.
The whole process, the whole time, like for years.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Wow.
And you trust your parents, and so I kind of was like, oh, that's weird. Mom's not feeling good again, whatever. But I guess they thought that was what was for best, right? So she got really bad during my senior year of high school, and went to the hospital, and it was only a couple of weeks from there when she passed away. And it was I'll go off on a little tangent here. There was one point where while she was in the hospital, it was actually, I decided, just because what I was going through, and I was always a good kid, but I guess it's all relevant. I was a good kid in Brooklyn, which still means I did fucked up shit. But but anyway, I decided to try marijuana for the first time, and I went to visit her the next day, and she looked at me, and she wasn't in her right mind, and she looked at me, and she was angry, and she goes, "I can't believe you did that."
Wow.
She goes, and it's not completely right, but she goes, "You smoked crack last night." Oh. I was like, well, I did.
Definitely didn't do that.
But it was weird because I was like, wow, does she know that
Wow.
So she passed away, and it was just me, my brother, and my dad at that point. My dad was dealing with it in his own way. My brother was dealing his own way, and we were all kind of on our own, and I didn't know what to do. I was kind of lost, and my journey was always going. My dad is a retired New York City fireman, and my journey was always going to be a police officer or a fireman. A city worker. I was comfortable there. I loved being in Brooklyn. We were very close with our cousins. Always spent time with family, first cousins, aunts, uncles, grandma, not grandpa, but no grandpas, but always spent time, all our time together, and we lived very close. And then when that happened, my mom's side of the family, for whatever reason, kind of, everybody deals with things differently. They didn't really reach out to us too much, my brother and I. And so I was kind of lonely for a little while, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And again, I was always going to be a fireman or policeman, and I probably would have been very comfortable with my mom living at home, and just being there in Brooklyn for my entire life. But once she's gone, it kind of blew everything up.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't know what am I supposed to do now? you know, why should I stick around? There's you also realize what's important in life when something like that happens.
Yeah.
Right.
And all the nonsense that we get upset about is meaningless. So I wanted to try something, you know. I was like, fuck it, let me. And to my brother's credit, he moved out here first. He said, I'm going to be a writer. Moved out to
Oh,
Los
okay.
Angeles. And about 6 months later, I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. And so my mother passing away kind of gave me the courage to follow my dream, you know. Or I'm sure I think it would have been a nice life. I would have been a fireman or whatever, but I would have never been strong enough to come out here and give this a shot.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you have any inkling before coming out here? Like, I wonder, was it just your brother that got you into the arts because he was a writer? You're like, okay, maybe I'll dabble in my own way, be an actor. Did you have your own kind of?
We were always super creative kids. We would draw all the time. We would make our own games. We were quiet. Like our cousins would come over and they'd be the wild ones, and we'd kind of sit in the room and just like draw pictures.
Yeah.
But we were always creative. We would do plays, you know, we would do all that kind of silly stuff. And it's never something I thought I could do. It's more like, you know, being from Brooklyn, you don't a neighborhood like that, you don't, which is strange because Brooklyn's such a cultural, like it's such a wonderful place, you know, for art and culture now. But back then it was, you know, a blue collar neighborhood. It was all cops, firemen, sanitation workers, construction workers. So that's what you're going to do. You didn't think that this was an option, you know?
Right.
So I would, when I would think about it once in a while. I'd say, hey, maybe let me try to be an actor. My mother and father had no idea what to do. So I remember they'd take us. I remember there was I don't know if you guys are old enough to know this, but does anybody remember Menudo?
Oh yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Molly doesn't know Menudo.
Well, Puerto Rican, I think that maybe helps.
Oh.
You know, Menudo is the boy band that Ricky Martin was in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what? I just learned about that like last week because one of my friends dances for Ricky Martin, and he told me about how he was in a boy band when he was little, but I didn't remember the name. I just learned that. That's funny that it came up again.
So there was I said, I want to try acting, and my parents, I was like 11, and they were like, we don't know what to do. My fireman and a homemaker. So they saw in the Daily News, it was like an open call for Menudo. And so they took me there. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't speak Spanish.
That's so funny.
But they thought I had a shot at being in a boy band.
Oh.
But they were, you know, they didn't discourage me from doing, you know.
They tried to
They wanted to do what they could. And to this day, you know, my dad is, you know, he's never told me. He's always expressed how proud he is that I.
Oh, I love that.
Good.
Never once was like, you shouldn't do that. Matter of fact, before I moved out, I did take the fireman test. And a lot of people take the fireman test, so it takes a while in New York. So about 2 years in Los Angeles, and I did a couple of commercials. I was on a little TV show on BET, and so I had a little bit of success. And,
Before you moved out here?
Out here, I was always,
Okay,
I didn't do it until I was out, yeah.
Got it.
So, but my dad calls me about 2 years in, and he says, so we got the results for the New York City Fire Department, and you know, you passed, and you can take the physical now and get the job. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he was okay with it. He was like, all right, fine. Never talked about it.
He was good. It. Wow.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to age you, but what year was it that you had applied to be a fireman when you took that test?
Probably 1994.
So my question to piggyback off that is, after 9/11, what was kind of your mind frame there? Like, did you have regrets?
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I thought about going home and being a cop after that happened. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that I didn't mature till even though I took this, I wasn't mature enough to have that kind of job when I was 21, 22 years old. I still, even though, again, being from Brooklyn and having a lot of life experience young, I was still very immature till I was, 30 probably.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to maybe be in the military or be a cop or be a fireman. But once I was mature enough for that, I was already too old. So
yeah.
But I thought about being a cop and moving, because I was 28 years old or 20, 27, 28 years old at that point. So I was definitely
Wow.
physically able at that point. Yeah.
How was your family? Because you come, your dad was a fireman. Like, I'm sure you have other friends and family that
Ton of
were
people. Ton of
affected.
people.
How did you guys get through that?
I being out here, I felt kind of guilty because I felt like I wanted to experience that grief. Isn't
Yeah.
that weird?
I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of bummed out that I wasn't part of it, which is insane. Because a bunch of kids I went to high school with that became firemen died. My next door
Wow.
neighbor, this lovely Greek man, his family lived next door. He was I guess you'd call industrial painter. He would paint the outside of tall buildings,
Mm.
and he was outside on a scaffolding, in one of the towers.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so
Of all
sorry.
the days, he was just
Yeah.
on a job.
yeah. He died.
Oh my God.
A bunch of them. Good story is my buddy. He worked in one of the buildings in one of the towers, and his daughter was born that morning, so he didn't go to work.
Wow.
Jesus.
Oh,
Wow.
that gives me chills. All
Right?
these stories.
Did they
give me
name
chills.
her like Miracle? Like,
No, yeah. No.
oh wow. That, I mean, at least that is a good story.
Yes,
Wow.
right. And to this
So-
day, there's all these guys that from the neighborhood that they have throat cancer from helping
Wow.
out. They don't get any
Jesus.
health benefits anymore. It's so gross. And
Oh
yeah,
my
so
gosh.
it's something that, and as it looks like you could sympathize with. I felt like I should have had some more of a part in it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like with so many people, so many of your loved ones and your people in your background that are going through this at this moment in time, that like you're not experiencing what they're experiencing, and it's like all your childhood friends, your family, your whole network from there is going through it at the same time in the same place. It feels like you should be too. Yeah.
And that's what we're firemen and cops in my family.
Yeah.
So it's my dad. He yeah. It's
Wow.
wild.
I love that. I love that he's seemingly always been so okay with you not following in his footsteps, because obviously that's so many people's story with their parents. They just like want to kind of live vicariously through, or just like they want their child to imitate their life, and it can, even with the good intentions or out of love or whatnot, it can really mess you up and hold you back. And if at the very least it's disappointing and it hurts. So that's great that he had been behind you.
Yeah, and just to come back to the original, and I think my mom passing away was gave us all more of a bigger picture of what life should be, of how we should go through life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what coming out here.
It says married, by the way. Obviously, I'm not married. My wife's computer.
That's funny. So what were your first impressions of the industry when you came out to LA? Did you just like jump right in? You started working at restaurants when you got here? How did that happen?
I worked at Borders Books and Music.
Yes.
In Long Island before I came out here, and I transferred from
So-
Borders in Long Island to Borders at UCLA.
Wow, loyal.
Oh, okay.
Love
Right?
that.
Well, it was a job.
That's
so,
the way to move. Yeah.
So that's where my gig was, and I came out, and I was, like I said, I was very immature, and with that comes an ignorant confidence.
Yeah.
So I
Can be a
was under the
beautiful thing.
impression I could do anything, I could play any role. I could, you name it, I could do it. And by the way, P.S., I was a terrible actor at the time.
Ah,
Looking back, I see that. But as far as I was concerned, I was Al Pacino. So with that kind of carried me for a few years. That confidence carried me for a few years, and it gave me the arrogance to think that I could make it. Because looking back, as I'm sure Alyssa can if you don't know somebody, and if you don't have relatives or have some kind of it really is almost impossible.
Yeah.
it really is.
It's insane. It really is. When you look at if you look at who's working and you do a little 6 degrees of whatever, you could see their connection,
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it's impossible. It's almost impossible. It's very hard, and you do really need to love it. So don't do it unless you need to do it, unless there's nothing else you could do, which is the case with me.
Yeah.
So I got into an acting class. It was at the Beverly Hills Playhouse. So John Travolta came into Borders Books and Music.
Wait a minute. I feel like we
yeah. So I was working there. He came in and I was like, hey, let me ask. And my accent was much thicker at this time. So I'll do an impersonation.
Hey, Johnny.
John Travolta's here. Let me ask him where he goes
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
I was like, hey, John, where should I study? I'm new out here. I'm going to be an actor. Where should I study? And he said he said he was, had that Milton Katselas, the Beverly Hills Playhouse. Now I didn't know that was Beverly Hills Playhouse is known for Milton was a big Scientologist in there. It's a big.
I was gonna ask.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. To their credit, no one ever aggressively
Okay, good.
told me about that. And I think it was a certain kind of person. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
Those little bits and pieces that were helpful in class.
Yeah.
Nothing obvious unless they saw a vulnerability or an in with you, then they pounced.
Yep.
But thankfully it never happened with me. And they made me a much better much more competent actor. And they taught me one thing that I carry with me to this day that I coach other actors on is how to get your in the business, how to find out where you fit in, and how to work while you're honing your craft, how to work. So you're not just a struggling artist forever, just trying to get better and better and better and waiting till you're better before you work.
Right.
So I started at Beverly Hills Playhouse, met some, it was all very serendipitous. Met some wonderful people. I was there at a time with actors that we all wound up working. It's very uncommon. I worked with at Borders and Books and Music. I got Jorge Garcia. Jorge Garcia from Lost.
Yeah.
Played Hurley.
Love him. Yeah.
So Jorge was fresh out of UCLA, came and worked at Borders. I got him into the Beverly Hills Playhouse. My buddy who I started out there with, his name is Evan Jones. He played Cheddar Bob in the 8 Mile movie. Been in a bunch of stuff. Giovanni Ribisi, Jenna Elfman, just a bunch of these actors that were in our class, and we just kind of
so talented.
This wonderful environment. So it enabled me to get work. We helped each other out, and we all became consistent workers, which again is insane. You never find an acting class where you find guys.
Did you get representation like through that networking too?
I did. I went and did my buddy Evan had an audition for a commercial agency, Dorothy Day Otis agency, and he brought me in with him to do his scene with him, and they wound up taking us both. And it was always referrals from friends. Yeah, it was always referrals from friends. We were ridiculous. We did such ridiculous things back then. Again, with our confidence and our arrogance, it was a different world, obviously, back then. So we would just go to commercial houses where they have the auditions and just crash auditions.
Oh,
Can't do that anymore. We went to Wilhelmina modeling agency, the two of us, and neither of us are models by any stretch of the imagination. We're like, here's our Polaroids. Like, can we be models? No, you leave us alone. What are you doing, you moron?
That's amazing.
But that's how we felt. We were hungry and we wanted to eat it all.
Well, I asked this because you had mentioned you don't speak Spanish, right?
No, and I heard you don't either.
I don't either. So I want to ask you, at the time when you're first starting, and even now, have you run into an issue when it comes to that kind of representation when you're auditioning and stuff like that? Because I constantly, will get sent out for roles that require fluent speaking Spanish, but you're like, but still the Latin, I can still be the Latin person. I don't know. It kind of creates an identity crisis in a way.
It sure does. And I'll tell. If I may, I'll tell a couple of funny stories first, and I'll get more serious about it. So when we used to crash commercial auditions, we would just go and find people that looked like us, and then sign in and go audition for whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of young Latino guys, so I went there, I signed in, and there was older Latino guys, young Latino guys, Latino girls, and so it was like a family they were going to see. They bring us in together, so they put in the checklist so that I signed in. Said, all right, Joe and the other 3 people, come on in. So I went in there with a young girl and 2 parents, not knowing what the audition was. It was for JCPenney, I found out. And they said, okay, so you guys are all shopping in JCPenney together. I want you to improvise. Everybody take a look in the mirror and have your moment where you look in the mirror and you talk to your family members while you're looking in the mirror, trying on your clothes and improvise. And obviously it's all in Spanish and action. So,
And obviously.
so the dad goes, beautiful, fluent Spanish. He walks away. The mother goes in there, beautiful, fluent Spanish, the daughter. And then I look in the mirror and I check myself out and I go, Antonio Banderas.
That's all you said?
That's it. Yeah. I didn't get it. I didn't get the part.
That's not bad though. They wouldn't know. It wasn't because you didn't speak Spanish.
That's right. That's right.
But that's all you, but like, did you just say it over and over again or just the one?
And I walked away. I was like,
hey, Banderas.
and walked away. That was it.
That's
cool.
Hilarious. That's a good angle. Good angle.
But then on a more serious note, yes. So I hated Alyssa. Most of the you're half Puerto Rican and what else?
Italian.
And Italian's like me. Yeah. So
which is why I didn't speak it. Might be the same for you because it wasn't spoken in the house.
And I was second generation. Both my parents were born in New York as well. So
yes, same. Yeah.
And Molly, you're Latino now?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't know.
Oh, there you go.
But not that I know, no.
But yeah.
So 90% of the roles I've played are Detective Ramirez in my career.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and your last name's Nieves, so it's like, they're gonna be coming after you more for that.
And I never wanted to change my name because I kind of felt like it was a betrayal. Even if I took my mom's name, I kind of feel like it wasn't me and I was trying to be something, like, what's the big deal? But I kind of, getting into this business, I kind of thought that I led with the Italian. Like I kind of felt like, especially when I had hair, like I feel like the way I talked and the way my mannerisms, everything was a little more Italian than Puerto Rican.
It's giving Italian right now.
Yeah, Brooklyn, yeah.
So coming out here and then I kind of forced without realizing it to lose that part of me and to just, I go in constantly. I audition against Danny Trejo.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna get that part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know.
Against, Noel Guglia, I audition against all these guys who, all these real Mexican, and I'm not Mexican. I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So.
There's a lot of Puerto Ricans out here either.
None. So what's happened now with the industry trying to be better at diversity, it's kind of put us in an even worse spot because now I can't even play the Mexican parts. Now it's got to be specifically Puerto Rican.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no Puerto Rican
right.
parts.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to I hate to put him on the spot. He won't listen. I won't tell him. My agent, and I had a long conversation because there's a show coming on that a friend of mine is the creator of, and it's a mafia show. And it was a part for it that I wanted to read for. So I called it my agent. I was like, listen, my buddy runs this show and there's this part that's great for me. And he goes, which one?
I wonder if it's a show and I know I might have auditioned for. We'll talk about it later.
So he said, which part? And I told him. And
is it set in the 60s or no?
No.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah. So he goes, you can't audition for that. And I said, why? And he goes, it's Italian American. I said, I am Italian American. He goes, but your last name is Nieves. And I said, so what?
Is my character going to have my last name?
Yeah.
And especially, like, who would know? Like, it's not like somebody's going to watch who doesn't know me and say that guy's not Italian. You know
There's no way he's not Italian.
By the way, Bobby Cannavale, half Cuban, half Italian. All these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, you do come across as very Italian to me right now.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
You could argue. Yeah.
So he's like, you can't do that. These days, you can't do that anymore. The Italian American union or whatever the fuck they are is going to be upset if it's not.
There is one. I had no idea. Where was where was our invite? My last name's Rosano.
There you go. He goes, Joe, you've been doing this 20 years. You don't know this? I'm like, no, I don't know this. Like, I always thought it was possible for me to play Italian parts, being that I'm Italian as much as I'm Puerto Rican.
That's crazy.
I have a buddy, and we hold each other accountable. I tell him what I'm interested in doing in my career, how I'm moving forward, and he tells me what he's doing. He writes a lot, and we hold each other accountable. So I told him I want to make a concerted effort, because it's on me now. I want to make a concerted effort to nurture that side of me, and so we've been doing something. He's Italian, and we've been doing something together where we're doing these two Italian cousins, and just to get it out there, just to put it
I
out there.
love that.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
to reinvent myself again, because
Well, if you need an Italian little sister for anyone of you, I'm
Yeah,
a.
but that's like having a friend to having those kind of relationships as a creative in general, having a friend that you can just one-on-one, like, hey, let's hold each other accountable. What do you want? What are your goals? What are you working on? What are you struggling with? That's really important. And I think it's kind of hard to find, because we all have friends, and we have friends in the industry, and but then there's levels of competition, there's levels of like someone that you're both comfortable being that vulnerable with about your goals when you haven't met them yet, because it's weird, because it's an industry where everybody's there, but they don't want to admit it to each other, because there's competitiveness with like, well, no, I got my stuff under control, but we all know that we're all struggling the same way, or we all have similar goals, and yet we don't want to acknowledge that, like, I haven't met this one yet.
Yep.
And it's just it. So I like that you said you have a friend that you two just do that together.
Yep.
I think that's really valuable and underrated. Maybe I know people do it, but it also feels like that people do it in groups. Like, oh, I have a writing group, or like an accountability group, a Zoom, but like a one-on-one is really the thing, I feel like, because you can just like, hey dude, what's going, you said you wanted to do that this year, how's that going, you know?
Help you with
We can't
self-tape
bullshit each other.
too.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
can't bullshit each other. I think it's very important. It's part of my whole hustle. It's part of my whole blue collar actor.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta be advocates for ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't be victims. We have to be in charge, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it's, I don't, like, we're going through, Alyssa, in the industry right now, is this weird thing where, like I said, it's good for being diverse, but I wish I could play, you know, any part, rather than, you know, I wish you didn't have to say Puerto Rican for me to audition for it. That's insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Insane.
Yeah.
So true diversity would be, it doesn't matter who plays each part, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're in this weird part of the industry, and it would be very easy for us to say, fuck it, you know, that's well, I'm not auditioning because I'm Puerto Rican, and I need, but we got to do that for ourselves, and see and force our way in, you know. And thankfully I had a conversation, and I love my agent. He's wonderful, and I trust him. He's a wonderful agent. And the fact that we could have disagreements, we can be honest with each other, is wonderful.
That's nice.
Have you been with him for a while?
I've been with him. I was with him at Buckwald a long time ago, and then I left there, switched a million times, and I found my way back to him. He's with it's a boutique agency, but they're wonderful there in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and LA. Stewart Talent Agency.
I know Stewart. I had meetings with them.
Oh, very good, very good.
Yeah, but like back in the like when I first started into acting in college, so I was like super green at the moment.
In New York.
Yeah, in New York.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. No, they're awesome. They're fantastic.
Nice.
And he's great. And so I spoke with my manager after that, and I just wanted to chat. I was like, listen, I just spoke with Stewart Talent, and they did the thing about I can't be Italian, I gotta be Puerto Rican. What is this? I was like, really soul. I was like, I can't. What am I doing? Right. And he was like, but thankfully, my manager's like, no, I disagree completely. You're Italian, right? I said, yeah. He goes, then you can play Italian. Don't worry.
Good.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I can be who I am. Thank you for that permission.
Well, then I ask, to pivot, because I think How I Met Your Mother is such an amazing show to be a part of. What a fucking cast.
Yeah.
I mean, what was Carl, the bartender? I know Carl wasn't. They say he was supposed to be Italian or Puerto Rican, or no?
Well,
they're just like,
no, exactly. That was one of the fortunate parts where and it does happen once in a while where I get to play a part that's not ethnic specific.
Yeah.
So after booking that, what was that like as you began to realize what a huge show it was turning out to be? Like that dawning on you.
So it never occurred, because it's, I did over 9 years. I did about like 20 episodes.
Yeah.
So it was I'd work once or twice a year on it, and it was lovely to be part of it, and I was thrilled to be there every time. But I never thought that it would be, looking back at it, it's it's one of those shows. It's a Seinfeld, a Friends, a Will and Grace. It's one of those shows that a generation really holds on to and relates to, which is wonderful. But you don't know that while it's happening, you know.
Right.
And especially if you're doing 2 episodes a year or whatever. And then I had jobs which I deemed more important at the time. During then, I'd book a series and then I'd get fired from that. And I'd always come back. They'd always have me back they'd always have me back in How I Met Your Mother, which is wonderful. And actually one of the nicest stories, speaking of that, was they were all fantastic on that set, but specifically Neil Patrick Harris is one of the absolute kindest, nicest actors you'll ever meet in your life. And I remember coming into set one day, haven't seen him in a while, and he walked over to where I was, and he said, "Joe, congratulations. I saw that you booked a pilot. I just booked a pilot, but it was a big deal. Congratulations, you just booked a pilot." And he just went out of his way to say that to me. He read the trade, saw me, went over. And another time, my cousin went and saw him do Hedwig on Broadway.
Yeah.
And waited for him afterwards, and she was like, "I'm Joe Nieves' cousin," and he goes, "Oh, Joe, tell Joe I said hello. How's his daughter doing? I heard he had a daughter."
Wow.
I was like, "Wow, how the fuck did he know that?"
He's like following the people in his life.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. That's really cool.
It's such a testament to actors who are, A-list like that. That's still, are sweet and kind and caring and remember the recurrings on their shows that I'm sure a lot of A-lists wouldn't even bother because they have a billion other things to worry about.
Isn't it crazy that it's just like the industries where you're like, wow, it's amazing they retained their humanity.
Right? Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Person.
Yeah. Like, wow, you're just doing basic things that like I do at my work with people I work with. Congratulations.
Isn't that amazing?
It's crazy. And actually I say that like jokingly, but it is a feat that he did that. Like I am impressed, but it's like the concept that is impressive in the entertainment industry is crazy.
No, but you're absolutely right. And that should be the way everybody treats each other.
Yeah.
Right? And it's rare in this business. And it's a business that pretends to be,
right.
To care about
yeah.
And having that energy towards crew too. I think that's so important to remember crew's name. Like anyway. But another show that's so awesome is Stuck in the Middle, where you played the dad of that show that was like it's a Latinx family. So how was that like? And did you feel, I mean, I'm sure they weren't like, you got to speak Spanish for this one, but like still cool that there was like a part of you that was still represented and you can be authentic.
Yeah, it was great. And it came at a time when I had just had my daughter. So I was a dad, and I never was a dad. I never played dads. I was always the cop or the bad guy, or they could have been dads, but it was never specifically the dad.
Right.
Yeah.
So it came at this time where I was preparing to be a good dad, and I didn't know how to do that. And it's a TV show, but it was also 7 kids on set.
Yeah.
So it did give me some preparation. And there was one thing that being the dad, it's silly because it's a Disney show, and it's
still,
but it showed me that you don't have to be perfect to be a dad. You're gonna make mistakes. It's just it's like with anything. It's all whatever the intention is really what counts, and as long as you're trying. And that was something I specifically got from being on a Disney show.
I love that. I really love that. Because that's funny, because that seems like it's such a broad statement, but I feel like looking back, because I used to, growing up, it's like Disney Channel and Disney shows. So it's like the points they always seem to want to be hammering in was that.
Yeah.
So it actually hit like points similar to that, like family values and just like, it's okay. Just like do your best and love each other. That's kind of like what every show is trying to get at. So the fact that when you are an actor working on that show, you actually came away with that message. That's cool.
And that being said, it was also the toughest and most insecure for only my own reasons. Because I'd never done anything like that, and that kind of acting is a lot different than what I was used to. So I never thought, it really took me like a season and a half or 2 seasons to feel like I wasn't getting fired the next day.
Wow, that's a level of anxiety to live with.
It is.
Wow. But you was so interesting is like you just did a 4-week training course with actors about and teaching them about, like you were talking about before, knowing their brand, right? Like branding, How would you describe it?
We called it know your casting.
Casting, yeah.
What it is, it's those when I studied, there was at the Bellows Playhouse, they did this thing called, you had to figure out your career concept, and it's kind of my take on that, where it's like I said, when I moved out here, it was very broad what I thought I could do, and I just threw a bunch of shit up against the wall and see what sticks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a move.
It is. I think if you're more specific and you're more focused, it's like visualization, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's having a goal, a tangible goal, right? And it makes it easier. It makes it more realistic for you if you know what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know you're casting, when I came out here and thought I could do everything, and then realized, you know what, I'm a 21-year-old 6'2" Goomba from Brooklyn. No one's hiring me to be the fucking doctor or the lawyer just yet. Let's hold off on that, Joe.
Yeah.
You're not the leading man. You're not, my lane was cop, fireman,
Yeah.
worker, thug. That's where my lane. So I needed to lead with that. I needed to make sure my headshots portrayed me like that. I needed to make sure when I walk into an office, I don't contradict that. I needed to help them see me in these roles that are castable in all these 1 hour dramas. Right. So especially with these other young actors, which I love doing, I get such, it's almost like I do it selfishly because I get such inspiration from young actors. And helping them see where they fit in, because I think everybody has that opinion when they just want to do everything. The reason we're actors is because we just want to swallow it all up, right? We just want to do everything. We want to yell, scream, cry, love, feel. We want to tell stories. We want to do everything. Just let us do it. So we just want to work.
Yeah.
And I think you focus on what you're right for. You watch TV shows. You see which shows you're right for.
Yeah.
And you see who's playing that part. You see who their agent is, right?
Yeah.
You look up that agent. You develop a relationship with them. I was always very good at this is why I don't like that we don't go in offices anymore, because I was always very good at
in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pardon me. I think I'm charming.
Yeah.
But I also was it sounds bad, but I knew how to be manipulative in an office and move people over and and talk about, find something. Oh, your shoes. Those shoes are fantastic. Where'd you get them?
Yeah.
So interesting that you use that word. I'm going to bring that up later. Continue.
Which one? All right.
Manipulate.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It is kind of the business. Like acting is manipulating, whether it's like you as yourself, I mean, in the room with casting agents and agents and general managers, but also, to your audience, you're manipulating emotions. You're manipulating, you want them to feel a certain way. And it's an interesting way to look at it.
Absolutely. And again, I'll go back. Manipulative sounds bad, but it could be. But I also,
it's not necessarily a negative thing though.
No.
It's like controlling your surroundings, kind of like
owning the room.
Yeah, owning the room.
Yeah. And also I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I love finding out about people. I love asking questions and learning from other people. I really do. And that's what made the last 2 years so fucking impossible for me. I love faces. I love talking. I love hugging.
Yeah, like being in person and human connection in general.
Yeah.
I love fucking waiting tables.
Yeah.
Did you though?
I did.
Good for you.
I feel like, but there's like your personality, even just through here, like it already is like effervescent and charming through a screen. So then it's like in person, that it's people like you and our friend Milan, who worked at Bottega with us too. He's acting. He's doing a lot right now, but he has the same kind of like, just kind of like a bigger than life personality, and he would have fun with his tables and just like, it's that kind of vibe. Because it's at the end of the day, if you can separate yourself from the misery of serving, you're engaging with people. So yeah.
It goes with part of service, right? I like helping people, but even if it's just giving them soup.
Right.
Yeah. I know. I think for me, it's like, I think I realized over the years that I'm so much more of an introvert. So like I'm on I love the self-tapes and it being like, not that I don't have confidence in a room. Like I always did. I always thought I could pump up the charm, but it like took too much out of me, like it did waiting tables. Like I felt like my energy was just
I get that.
so drained at the end of the day.
I
And
get that.
networking that came the same way to me.
Yeah. When you, and again, and I'm great in a restaurant and I'm great in an office, but
Yeah.
like parties where you network, I'm
Mm.
terrible. My wife has to
Yeah.
come and talk to
Oh,
people.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is there like any like quick advice, when it comes to knowing your brand, like something quick besides, I mean, you kind of said it before, like looking at TV shows that you're right for and like contacting or at least looking up their agent to see if you fit. But even before that, is there a way, or an easy way rather, where an actor can kind of like know, like how do they know that that show is good for them or that that actor is kind of like in their zone, how do you even get to that point?
So here's what I do when I start class with actors is I'll sneak off and I'll stalk them all on social media.
Yeah.
And I'll see if they're contradicted. I use that word a lot with this class.
Oh.
You want to see if they contradict their character on their social media, or if they contradict who they are. There was one girl who came to first class on Zoom, and she was real prim and proper. Her hair was nice and done. And I looked at her social media, and she was like this cool punk rock chick, and she had her black beanie on, and she had like all these "fuck you" pictures, and like,
Yeah.
I was like, what do you like? Why did you come to class like that? She's like, it's a bit, it's like a business. I was like, no, you got to be yourself.
Yeah.
No, that's you. That's and if that's not you, then you got to get that shit off your social media.
Yeah.
Right.
It's one or the other. But
Yeah.
these two people are contradicting themselves, and I hate that social media is important. I don't even know that it is, but just in case, you know what I
Just
mean?
in case, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, I think I think, and you probably know that, but you portray yourself exactly as I think you're very honest about who you are, Alyssa, and I feel like you're exactly who you are when you walk into a room.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I think I still kind of struggle with that. So I think I need to like take a class. But I feel like I come from doing tons of theater work, and I went to school for like in New York, and it was none of it was know your branding or know your casting. None of it. It was just like you're doing Shakespeare, Moliere, you're doing all this, you're doing Chekhov, you're gonna play every type of role ever. So you learn like exactly what you said. You're like, I can do everything. Like, what do you mean I have to find out my box?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I want to say I don't want to limit people either, because I'm saying find your way in.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
spread your
Right.
wings. Because
Right.
now I do play lawyers. Now I do play doctors.
That's the thing. Like once you are, Meryl Streep can be anything now, and Beyonce can make any type of album now. It's just like but people need something to attach to you when you start. Otherwise, they can't hold on long enough to follow your career or care about your next projects. It's like, it's interesting. What would you say your goals are for your career, either long term or like this year? Like, what are you aiming for yourself now?
Well, I'll let everybody here hold me accountable. So I'm going to be, so my career path, what I want to do next, and I'm going to figure out how to do it is I want to be a dad on something that's a little more mature. I want to be on a 1 hour. I want to be the patriarch on a 1 hour drama.
Like something like This Is Us, like a serious,
yeah, something like 6 Feet Under, This Is Us, just something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to be Italian again at some point.
Yes. Again, I really like also how you started that sentence when you were like, I'm gonna be, that's it.
Yep.
It's not like I want to be, I'm gonna try to, no, I'm gonna do this next. Like I'll figure out how to do it. Don't ask me how it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna do it. That's
and I don't
the
know
energy.
if it's innate, but like I said, there's an ignorant confidence that I have, but it's worked out so far. So
yeah, so then it's not so ignorant, I feel like.
Do you have any advice that you would give yourself, like the younger version of yourself first coming out to LA, like that kind of, if I knew then what I know now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say I'm glad the way everything turned out, because who knows if I would have met my wife, who knows if I would have had my two children. I have my first daddy-daughter dance, by the way, this Saturday.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh my
But you know what? This is silly, but I wish I were, after I brag about how confident I am in the room, I wasn't as confident socially. I wish I would have been more confident socially, if that makes sense.
Like put yourself out there more.
although I enjoyed my journey and I have a great journey and I loved how silly we were and how hard we worked. But I wish I would have taken, this is weird, but I wish I would have taken singing song and dance lessons.
Oh,
Oh.
Because
Yeah,
I see,
same.
I see shit now. And back then it was like, I just want to do straight plays or film or, and now I see, I see Hamilton and I see all his stuff, obviously, at the Heights.
And Encanto. God damn it.
Encanto's like my
Love it.
second favorite movie last year. It was amazing.
Oh my God, it's so good. I just saw it recently. I've been
really
procrastinating. I
cute.
just saw it. West Side Story. That's for us.
I wish I could do musicals. I wish I could
Yeah.
do George Washington Hamilton,
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's not too late. It wasn't, they say Morgan Freeman got his first big role when he was like 40 something at all. Like, you're already an actor. Like, just tap into something else. You can do it.
It's the
Not too
confidence
late.
too, because I know no one wants to hear me sing, but musicals are my favorite.
You don't sing either?
God no.
All right.
God no. I
And
wish.
you don't act at all, Molly?
I don't act. No, I only in music videos. Yeah, I'm not. I have zero experience. It's funny because when I moved to LA, I kind of assumed naively, because I just was straight out of college. I was like, oh, let's be like half musicians, half actors. I got out here and I was like, oh, 99.999% actors. I don't have any friends that are musicians for like forever. And I know everything I know about the industry is all through friends, but I know like an alarming amount for not having any acting experience. I'm just like, oh yeah, that workshop. Oh, you talked to that casting. I've heard that name before. I don't know shit. I don't know. Like, I don't do it.
Especially like you're in the service industry too. It's like
yeah.
And
Exactly.
are you a solo artist? Do you write your own stuff? Everything?
Yeah, I do.
And do you play instruments?
I play piano, but I would never offer my services as a pianist. I do it for like my own stuff and like writing purposes and yeah.
Very cool.
But I produce my own beats because I don't play all these instruments, and I was like, I don't want to have to wait until I'm like in the room with a producer and a drummer and like do this. And now I like have my little beat pad, nerd out.
I spoke about the acting class I was with, but I also have had delusions of grandeur of doing a documentary about and I don't know, you could race it if you want to talk about it, but about all the success that's come out of Bottega Louie as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Little documentary.
Like
we served iced tea, you could call it, or something like that.
I like that. That because
portobello mushroom.
There's a lot of interesting cast that came out of there. And, and I listened to even like guys like Rudy, which I'm hooked on Rudy now.
I know. I love Rudy.
It's so weird because in restaurants you're so close to everybody while you're there, and then you leave and you never talk to anybody.
Yes.
Again. Yeah. And that was with Rudy. Like I was tight with Rudy there, and then that was it. Never again.
Yeah. I know it's crazy.
All the like Rudy, Will is doing fantastic now.
Yeah.
Sinead and Kelly, Kate, a bunch of them. Everybody's Joel Steingold is doing great.
Oh, I love Joel. Did you meet Joel, Molly?
I don't think so.
No.
He ended up being the florist at Bottega too.
Oh,
right.
cool.
He's like a jack of all trades, that guy.
The Renaissance man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, before we let you go, and just to shout you out, because we're just talking about how talented and successful that restaurant's alum were. What projects are coming up that we can shout out and yeah.
So as of last week, we talked about How I Met Your Father, but also I was on the 5th episode, and it's so nice when you get to do something that you're super duper proud of the Dropout.
It's so good. You worked with Amanda Seyfried. I love that.
So good. And another actress who was nothing but sweet and kind. And she was watching The Bachelor in Paradise while we were shooting, by the
way. Oh, girl after my own heart. Oh my god!
But what a cast! Like I'm super duper proud of that. And William H. Macy, Amanda Seyfried, and it's just an amazing cast. So that's on now. So go watch it immediately. Episode 5 is my episode.
Yes.
I get to play an ad executive, which I couldn't have done 20 years ago.
There you go. Yep.
Based on a real guy who's reached out to me on
cool.
Instagram, and he hasn't told me what he thought of my performance yet.
Hey,
so cool though.
That's really cool. I love
besides that, over the pandemic, I started writing, and I have a pilot that I'm trying to sell, and it's about a Puerto Rican dude, but it's not me. I'm not going to be in it. I'm too old.
And you're Italian, so you can't play.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And then look out for Cuisine Industries. That's me and my buddy Joe doing our Italian thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, awesome. Good. We'll shout that out. What is it called?
Eugene Industries.
Eugene Industries.
Yeah.
All right, you got
Yeah.
it. Oh, thank you
Thank you
so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. It was a pleasure. Hope I didn't talk too much.
No, this is perfect. Just what you're here for. He is very charismatic.
I know. I mean,
I
he
love
said
him.
it in the interview that
Yeah,
like
he's
you know,
charming.
yeah. So that conversation could have been another fucking 2 hours. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the journey of just like whenever artists don't have, like he said, it's who you know. It's usually who you know or someone, 6 degrees of separation, and a lot of us come out here without any connections. And so just how you know what little things happen, a little conversation in a coffee shop or someone that you meet at a restaurant you work at, or just those little things, and it's just a little trail of breadcrumbs to where you are.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's gotten so much worse when it comes to like knowing somebody. It's all nepotism babies now.
Yep.
Like all of the, especially the Gen Z actors that are popping up, they're
Mhm.
all like the baby
Yep.
of celebrities that like you saw in, because paparazzi was so huge in the early 2000s.
Exactly.
And now they're teenagers and adults coming into the industry. So it's like, of course, now they're dominating every
Yep.
movie and TV show. So it's like way worse now. So
Exactly.
you have to love it, guys. It is not for the faint of heart. But thank you so much, Joe, for being on here. Yeah.
Shout out Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Shout out to again, wanted to shout out all the work that he's been on the Dropout, Stuck in the Middle and Disney.
I just threw our like shout out Black Lives Matter in the middle.
Guys, whatever.
Sorry. Still, I stand by it, but that was just random timing.
And then How I Met Your Mother and How I Met Your Father, that's airing now on Hulu. He's still Carl the bartender.
I love that.
So amazing. And then we're on Patreon, guys. So please get on there. $3, $7, $11. You can help us create more content for you. We'll get you guys some merch, exclusive content, all of that good stuff. We are on YouTube as SOS with Molly and Alyssa. We're on Instagram at the SOS Pod. So follow us. And then, you know, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. We're there. Rate and review us. It helps us reach more people.
It really rating and reviewing really helps. So please take a moment. And I'm Molly Cottrell.
I'm Alyssa Rosano.
Here's to turning meltdowns
to magic.